This is a 4:15 session around NetOps. Specifically, we're talking about extending NetOps with live active testing from Netrounds. So I'm happy and very proud to be with my partner here, Netrounds. Kayla, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Kayla Loeffler. I'm from Netrounds, as Jeremy said, and I run marketing at the company, and we're a Swedish-based active testing and monitoring company.
And I see some friendly faces. You already know me already, but Jeremy Rosbeck, I've been with CA about 10 years now. Was in pre-sales, doing all the technical sales. Now I'm in product marketing around the NetOps solution. So, all right. So everyone likes facts, right? So these statistics. Yeah, thank you. I need some more sugar. These come from a recent report from Enterprise Management Associates and Seamus McGillicuddy, who runs that network space. He wrote a paper for us recently. Some may be surprising, maybe some may not. I'm not going to go through all of them. He wrote and discovered 44% of traffic, source of traffic, enterprise network traffic is through the public cloud. This is nice. Number 3 driver of network team decision making is around the explosion of bandwidth. So you can attribute that to a lot of IoT, more applications in corporate data centers today using more bandwidth. This is a good one. 52% of IoT projects create network blind spots. So what we consider a network blind spot, obviously, is how about moving workloads to the cloud? Network admins and engineers aren't the gods anymore in the cloud, so we have to figure out a way to get access inside of network traffic in that cloud around that workload to have that full visibility like we talk about. 74% of enterprises replacing MPLS with the internet and even SD-WAN. Show of hands, is anybody running cloud traffic over the internet or thinking about SD-WAN? Yeah? Nice, very nice, good. Well, you're part of those numbers up there. Josh, let me call you out on this. 71% of NetOps day is around fixing and troubleshooting problems. Do you agree with that number? Is it too high? Really? Good. That stinks.
Not 72.
We got to fix that. We got to fix that. Somebody else. Derek, right? How many? So 34% use 11 or more monitoring or troubleshooting tools. Is that possible? Around the network, even. 24% use between 6 and 10. That's crazy. We got to fix that too. Constant firefighting. Less than 50% of those surveys detect network issues before the customer does. Is that true? Probably, yeah. All right. I'm glad you guys agree with that.
So another important part of this research that Seamus did was around active testing and using active test traffic to enhance your monitoring and the visibility that you have into how your network is performing. As part of this study, actually, Netrounds and CA won an award for Innovative Partner Solution. So that's quite exciting, and we'll show you that a little later in the presentation here. But interestingly, active test traffic was the second most popular data source for network capacity planning and engineering, as well as overall performance monitoring. So what I'm going to be talking to you a bit more now is how active testing and monitoring can augment all of the data that you already are collecting for your performance monitoring systems through CA/PM, and then the larger network operations and analytics from CA platform. So who is Netrounds? This is our first CA World. Very, very excited to be here and excited to be here in front of you. But many of you may not be using active testing tools yet. And maybe you're interested in them. Maybe you want to see more about how they can augment CA/PM and your other solutions from CA. So I want to give you a quick background on who we are at Netrounds and what we're doing. Our main value proposition is that we are actively verifying that your network services work when you're delivering them, before you put users on the service, and then make sure that they continue to work throughout the lifetime of the service. We're doing automated active testing and monitoring. What that means is we can actually be programmatically driven through an orchestration system so that all of this can be automated and kind of increase the automation in your network with active testing and monitoring. So when you deploy a new service, why not do an activation test, make sure it's working as expected, and then continuously monitor that as well. The number of our customers, we actually have about a 50-50 split today of enterprise customers, so large enterprise like Volvo IT, for example, and then service providers and operators, so some of which you can see here, Telefonica, Telia, and Telenor. You can see that a large number of those are European or Scandinavian. That's because we've been around for about 10 years and we're headquartered in Sweden. My founders are actually ex-Telia Research and Ericsson guys. As every good Swede in networking is, some history of their career has to be done at Ericsson. Go ahead. So what exactly are we doing? I said we're going to validate services when you deploy them. And why do you need to do this? When you are deploying a new service for a customer, what do they care about? When they order a service and you say it's delivered, is it actually delivered as you promised that it would be? Do you know that it's working as expected? And then if there are any problems, can you find and fix those immediately so that when the customer complains about a problem, are you able to go in there, find it, and fix it? So how can Netrounds help you to do this? When you validate the service, you can actually do a birth certificate. We call it kind of a weird name, I think.
I didn't know that.
I like to call it an activation test report, but it's commonly known in our SP customer base as a birth certificate. And then discover issues earlier. When I say we're doing this ongoing monitoring with actively generated traffic, you can actually be notified if there's any problems with your SLAs. You set thresholds for your SLAs. And if they're violated, you can be automatically notified that there's a problem. And sometimes you can go and find and fix that problem before the customer is even impacted and notice that there's anything wrong. So as Jeremy mentioned there, how many of the issues are reported by your customers? Let's cut that in half. And then finally, resolve problems faster using automated troubleshooting tests and the correlation of the active test data with the CA performance monitoring statistics. You can actually find and pinpoint your problems a lot quicker so that you're deploying technicians or sending technicians out into the field to fix problems, not to find them, because you've already found them and you can cut down your MTTR, your mean time to problem resolution. Brief overview of what the Netrounds system looks like. How are we actually generating this traffic and testing your services? In the network, we've got active test agents, we call them. So kind of like a traditional pro, but a new version of that because it's all software-based. We were born in the cloud and always have been a software solution. And those test agents can be deployed depending on your use case and your network topology. So it can be a test agent on an x86 server. It can be a virtual test agent running on any common hypervisor as a VTA VNF, we call it. You can also use reflection technology, so two-way active measurement protocol, or Y1731 protocol, to bounce traffic off any network device that has an embedded reflector. And you can do service requests out into the internet as well. And we'll touch on this a bit later as we talk about hybrid cloud monitoring and our Amazon Machine Image test agent as well. So you can pin the AMI to the specific service that is where your business critical application is running in AWS. And then finally here, the multi-layer. So we're not just testing throughput and general performance, we're also testing up to voice and video quality. So we were doing the throughput, loss, and latency. We're also doing voice mean opinion score and IPTV quality and a whole range of tests. So you can actually test and stress the service like how an end user is going to be using the service. You're not just testing one metric and you need another tool, one of those 7 to 11 tools to test all the different services that your customer is going to be consuming. You can holistically test and do a really thorough test for the whole range of services that your customer wants to use. So again, those 3 points, test multi-layer, so really stress the network and test the whole range of services that your customer is going to be using. Programmable. You can do this all in an automated fashion. You can use an orchestrator, you can use CAPM to pull it all into one view so you've got a more holistic view of your network performance. And software. We are living in a software world, the modern software factory. Let's do this in software and not have all these boxes, I like to say, gathering dust in your IT closets. So again, your customers, they want 2 things. When they order a service and you say it's delivered, they want it delivered as expected. And if you do have any problems, they want you to find and fix them immediately. So deliver service at the right time with activation tests. If there are problems, redeploy the service, test again, find and fix it before you deliver the service to the customer and hand it over. And then detect problems from the end user point of view. And how does this help you in the end? What does this do to your bottom line? And how does this help your operations? Decrease your trouble tickets, decrease troubleshooting times, field dispatches, churn. Actually, we have some really interesting churn statistics from this QoE and QoS management study I was reading recently. and it said that 82% of churn can be attributed to customer frustration over finding a problem in a service, but then their service provider can't figure out how to fix it in a expedited manner. And also, another one that I found quite interesting was that for every one customer who has a problem and it gets frustrated, they'll tell 13 other potentially happy customers until they hear about their friend's poor experience. Additionally, improve visibility and performance, customer satisfaction, quality insights, a whole range of benefits here, without getting into the numbers. So what does this look like in terms of how we're working with CAPM? So we actually have a device pack for Netrounds through the mediation manager. So all this data can be ingested directly into CA Performance Center, so you can visualize it all in one view here. And then the test agents will be deployed throughout the network depending on your topology and use case, as I mentioned before. So you could be having a test agent at an SD-WAN branch office, maybe in a data center, and then up into the public cloud as well to test this range of services that I've mentioned earlier.
And you guys all know this. I mean, the power of the NetOps and analytics solution is to be able to bring all those different data sources into one operational dashboard, so you don't have to learn anything new. So just like all the other long list of devices and vendors that we support out there, Netrounds is obviously supported through the CA Mediation Manager to, again, bring you an enhanced monitoring solution by doing this active testing, understanding what services are going to look like before your consumers start using them. And we're just going to show you all that great data in an operational dashboard you know and use today. You just have more better metrics that you haven't had before in the same operational dashboard. And of course, you guys have probably been in a lot of sessions already. We're taking that data and feeding it up into the Agile Ops Analytics solution that you can get more information at here at CA World to provide even richer and deeper insights into performance around the network.
So as promised, we'll also look at a couple different use cases, one of which is SDX Validation and Monitoring. So this is kind of what a very simplified typical deployment might look like. You got your headquarters site here. With this could be a software test agent running on a bare metal server, for example, and you're testing out to a virtual test agent deployed on a UCPE at a branch office, or even using a thin CPE with a built-in reflector where you can use those TWAMP and 1731 protocols I mentioned there. You can do this to validate your connectivity and services and then monitor performance. So once you do the activation test and you kind of stress the network with that larger amount of traffic, you can actually kind of turn over the test agent into monitoring mode. So you can use the same test agent to send smaller amounts of traffic at whatever frequency you desire. So you're continuously making sure you're meeting that SLA, and then if there's any problems, again, you are notified and alarmed to any issues. Common problems again, for a service provider, for example, providing enterprise services to, let's say, Volvo. Again, we always say Volvo. They delivered a service. Do they know it's working? Now you can use the activation test and deliver that service activation report to make sure that it is up and working as expected. Oftentimes, too, when you've got off-net regions in the network, it's really hard to get full visibility. So now we can find out that, yes, we know what our end-to-end service quality is. It's not good. It's not in our network. Let's talk to this off-net operator and see what's going wrong there. And then escalation meetings. As we said, we can kind of pinpoint the problems a lot easier, find out where they are. We've got visibility into our network services, and we know what's going on. Decrease the ticket handling times, decrease escalations, and become a more efficient operations team.
I'm going to actually go back one slide because we didn't mention this.
Oh.
Yeah, we're real proud. Again, EMA recognized the partnership between CA and Netrounds, and as you guys know, we have the NetOps and SDN partner ecosystem that Netrounds is part of, and we're really proud of that. But as you guys know, we strive to extend monitoring for you by supporting as many technologies and vendors out there today, and we were recognized by EMA this year for that. So just a testament to the support that we're trying to deliver to you guys.
We do have that report as well, so if you want to come find us, we can make sure we get it to you. I just wanted to show you a view of what Netrounds actually looks like. So this is our control center dashboard. So as I mentioned, we had our test agents out in the network, and then we've got our control center, and that can be deployed in Amazon AWS, or it can sit on-premise in a private cloud environment as well. But this is our test builder, and this is actually a report of a previously completed activation test. So you can see here, it's a gold service, so you could kind of change your QoS policy depending on what your customer is purchasing from you. And we've got different types of traffic here. We've got best effort and business class traffic. And as you can see, it's a 4 sequential steps that we've actually done for this activation test, because we want to, again, test the whole range of services that our customers are going to be using. And see, we've got some red X's here. We've had a couple problems with our end-to-end UDP, and we've got some TWAMP segmentation problems. And it's actually hard to see, I'm sure, but you can see we're testing bidirectionally. So not only from the headquarters to the branch office, but then back from the branch office to the headquarters. So we know if there's a problem, which way it's coming from, or where the issue is, again, to help us pinpoint the problem. We did have these steps pass, but we know we're not going to deliver the service to the customer because we've had some problems here. So we need to make sure we've got green throughout the whole test there. And you're looking at here is where the problems were. So when we sent that test traffic, we're having some gaps here, and that's what's causing these test steps to fail. And if you go to the next slide, you can actually see what this looks like within CA Performance Center. So now, through our partnership, you can get all of these metrics. You don't need to go to the Netrounds dashboard anymore. You probably need to go there still to build these tests, but then you can have all this fed up into your performance center. So when you're monitoring the services after the test has been completed, you have it all in one nice view here. So you can see your headquarters site, probably in Stockholm, where I'm located. And then we've got a new office down here in Munich, and we're going to bring that one in London up later. So this is what we're testing and monitoring here. We're doing a DNS monitor, an HTTP monitor. These are ongoing. And then, what is this? This is some test data as well. So I mean, it's all in one view. You kind of go to one dashboard, see what's going on in the network, have a more thorough visibility into the end-to-end service you're providing. Next use case, hybrid cloud monitoring. So this has been, as Jeremy said, caused a big blind spot with network operations before. So now we actually have a AMI image, so an Amazon machine image for our test agent. So you can actually go in and pin that test agent to the specific VNF or server that is hosting your business critical application. So these are the 3 of the most popular in AWS right now: SAP, Oracle, and Microsoft SharePoint. So this can help you to test actually kind of in a hybrid cloud fashion from your branch office, maybe from your headquarters, wherever you're needing to. You could have your headquarters over here, and you could be testing in a hub and spoke or full mesh. There's a wide range of capabilities with the test agents because they are multi-tenant. But now we can have better visibility into our application and network performance. And you're not just doing, performance, you're also doing up to HTTP and SIP as well. So there is a more full range of services that you can monitor. And the final use case here, cloud workload and service chain validation. So when you deploy a new service chain, why not stitch or bookend, as I like to say, virtual test agents on the end of that service chain? So you can test the service through the full service chain. If you have any issues end to end, you can be notified, and then you could dig into the device statistics and the underlying metrics that CA is performing and kind of correlate where that issue is. You also would have the option to segment the service chain with where you're placing the test agents. So you kind of do A to D, A to C, A to B, and kind of pinpoint where the issue is. Oftentimes, though, you can also see where the problem is based on the output of the monitoring. You can kind of say, okay, this is probably a content filter problem, or this is a firewall issue based on the outputs that you're getting from the testing reports.
Have you guys seen this before? This slide? So we introduced this last year at CA World, but this is how CA Performance Management is helping us visualize the service chain topology and the stacks that are holding it up, right? And the building blocks that are holding it up. So this layer, and it's one-of-a-kind visualization inside of CAPM for service chains. You have your physical host here, your VMs, or your virtual networks, your VMs, and then the VNFs on top. We're showing directional traffic and where it's going. Obviously, you can see color-coded alerts if we have a severity, a critical, et cetera. But it's very important to be able to understand the building blocks when service chains are deployed. You got to know what's holding it up, because if any of these fail, you need the most information you can to troubleshoot exactly what's going on. Now, adding the active testing solution from Netrounds just makes that the bomb, basically.
The bomb.
The bomb.
So finally, in summary, I guess, end-to-end active testing and monitoring can really help you to provide a more well-performing service for your customers. I mean, we can make sure we're validating the service after delivery. We can monitor it so if there are any issues, we can find and fix them as quickly as possible, ideally before your customers notice there's a problem with the service. And we can also use troubleshooting sequences and some other remote troubleshooting methods to resolve those problems faster.
Yeah, I think you guys are seeing the mapping we're doing here to the data points we said in the beginning, and how we're able to reduce those numbers from that EMA report. So with a combination of the solution from Netrounds and CA, obviously we want to deliver predictive network behavior. So you guys can actually predict how the network is going to perform when a service A, service B has been deployed by a customer. So we call it the 3 A's, right? Agile deployments, automated testing, and it's application driven. Application driven because you can do a service that's based on WebEx or whatever type of app that you're going to be deploying. Maybe it's email, whatever the case may be. You can definitely understand metrics around specifically that application. So we're becoming more application aware when it comes to our network monitoring. Correlate insights, we can maximize the customer experience, solve those network operational blind spots, and then most importantly is be able to predict network behavior in production environments before the customer does.